Caitlin Clark is absolutely, undeniably, historically ridiculous. If you thought you had seen everything basketball had to offer, if you thought range had a ceiling, if you thought the WNBA was not ready for a player who plays the game like physics are optional, then strap in right now, because what you are about to watch is going to rewire the way you think about this sport entirely. This is not hype. This is not a highlight reel built to flatter. This is 10 minutes of one player systematically dismantling the best professional basketball league in the world, shot by shot, pass by pass, record by record, and she is not even close to done yet. Today we are taking you through the deepest, most jaw-dropping, most genuinely unhinged collection of Caitlin Clark moments ever assembled in one place. From the logo bombs that broke the internet in college to the impossible pull-up threes she is draining over the best defenders in the WNBA right now. This is the full story of a player who does not just push the boundaries of what women's basketball looks like. She erases them. Are you ready? Let's go. Before we get into the WNBA footage that is going to make your jaw hit the floor, you need to understand exactly what kind of player walked into the professional game when Caitlin Clark was drafted first overall by the Indiana Fever. Because context matters. Greatness does not exist in a vacuum, and the context around Caitlin Clark is unlike anything this sport has ever produced. She entered the WNBA as the all-time leading scorer in the history of NCAA basketball. Not women's college basketball, all of college basketball, men included. She passed Pete Maravich, a name that had sat at the top of that list since 1970, a record so old it felt permanent, a record that generations of legends had chased and fallen short of. Clark did not just break it, she shattered it, and she did it playing a style of basketball that made every single game she appeared in an unmissable event. Nearly 10 million people tuned in to watch her final college game. 10 million for a college basketball game. The sport had not seen numbers like that in decades, and it was because of one player with the ball in her hands, standing 4 feet behind the three-point line, absolutely daring defenses to come out and stop her. They could not. Nobody could. And when she finally made the jump to the WNBA, the whole country leaned forward at once to see if the best player in college basketball history could do it against the best in the world. What happened next was not a slow build. It was not a learning curve. It was not a rookie finding her footing. It was Caitlin Clark in her very first professional season, breaking the WNBA rookie scoring record, breaking the WNBA single season assists record, dragging the Indiana Fever back into the playoffs for the first time in years, and doing all of it while the whole world watched. The answer came back fast, and it came back loud. Yes, she could do it. She was built for exactly this. Now let's get into it, because the numbers only tell half the story. The shots tell the rest. The first thing you have to understand about Caitlin Clark as a shooter is that the range is not a gimmick. It is not a party trick she pulls out when the moment calls for theatrics. It is her baseline. It is her starting point. When she crosses half court, the defense has to pick up immediately. Has to, because if they give her an inch of space anywhere from logo range inward, she is pulling the trigger without hesitation. She made that clear in her very first professional season when she started dropping step-back threes from 28, 29, 30 feet like they were mid-range pull-ups. And defenders who had spent their entire careers learning where the danger zone started had to completely recalibrate from scratch. There is no comfortable spot on the floor when Caitlin Clark has the ball. There is no rotation that makes you feel safe. There is no moment to relax because she is a problem from the moment she crosses midcourt, and she stays a problem until the possession ends. Watch any of her long-range makes and pay attention to two things. First, the elevation. She gets straight up on her pull-ups. No drift, clean release every time, which is why the ball comes off her hand with the kind of arc and rotation that drops through the net like it has somewhere to be. Second, watch the defense. There is always a half second of pure helplessness before the ball is already gone, already on its way, already too late. That half second is Caitlin Clark's entire offensive game in microcosm. She makes her decisions faster than defenses can process them, and by the time they catch up, she is already walking back on defense, setting the next play. The step back is the signature. It is the move that made the internet lose its mind in college, and it translated to the WNBA with zero adjustment period because the step back is not about raw athleticism. It is about timing, about footwork, about the geometry of creating space in a fraction of a second. Clark does this better than almost anyone playing professional basketball right now, regardless of league. She receives the ball in motion, takes one hard dribble into the defender to get them on their heels, then steps back to create exactly enough room to get the shot off cleanly. The defender, having committed to contesting the drive, cannot recover in time. The shot goes up from 25 feet. The net moves. The crowd erupts. This happens again and again across a season, and it never gets old because every single time it looks impossible right up until it goes in. That is the thing about watching Clark shoot. Even when you have seen it 100 times, even when you know she is gonna pull up from logo range, even when you can see the step back coming, it still does not look real when the ball goes through the net. The distance is so extreme, the release so quick, the result so consistently good that your brain keeps rejecting it as improbable right up until the scoreboard confirms it happened again. That is generational shooting. That is the Steph Curry zone of range that changes the geometry of the game around you. And Clark is in that zone at 22 years old in her second professional season, and she is still getting better. What separates Clark from a player who is simply a great shooter is what she does when the defense takes away the three. And people who have not watched her closely get surprised here because they come in expecting a shooter and they find a complete offensive player. When teams send two defenders at her beyond the arc, she does not hesitate. She puts the ball on the floor and attacks. She has a floater she throws up with soft touch from 8 to 12 feet that drops with infuriating regularity. She has a mid-range pull-up that she hits off the dribble going both left and right. She gets to the free throw line at an elite rate because she has the footwork to draw contact on drives and the composure to convert once she gets there, shooting better than 80% from the line as a rookie. In a league full of players who have spent years developing their games, Clark arrived and immediately looked like someone who had already done all that work. Or because she had. The college game gave her a pressure testing environment unlike anything most players experience, and she came out of it with the complete offensive toolkit of a polished veteran. The numbers from her rookie year need to be said out loud to be fully appreciated. Clark averaged over 19 points per game as a first-year WNBA player, 19 points. The previous rookie scoring record was held by players who went on to become genuine all-time greats, and Clark cleared it like it was standing still. She also averaged over 8 assists per game, a number that would lead the entire league in most seasons. Think about that combination, 19 points and 8 assists per game, meaning she was producing roughly 35 to 40 points of offensive value every single night between her scoring and her playmaking. And she was doing it in her first year against defenses that had spent the entire offseason preparing specifically for her. She broke the record for three-pointers made by a rookie. She broke the record for assists by a rookie. She broke the assists record for the full league in a single season, finishing with over 300 assists across the year, more than any WNBA player had ever recorded in one season in the history of the league. 300 assists means she is finding open teammates constantly, means she is reading defenses at an elite level, means she is making the right decision under pressure over and over. That is not a scorer who can also pass. That is a floor general operating at the highest level who also happens to drain shots from the parking lot. The passing deserves its own full conversation because it does not get nearly enough attention. When people talk about Caitlin Clark, they talk about the threes, rightfully so, but the passing is what elevates her from great scorer to genuinely transformative offensive weapon. She sees the floor like a point guard who has played 10 professional seasons. She anticipates where the defense is going to rotate before they rotate, which means by the time the pass leaves her hand, the receiver is already open, already in rhythm, already ready to catch and attack. This is the hardest thing to teach in basketball. You can teach shooting mechanics. You can teach footwork and conditioning. You cannot teach a player to see things that have not happened yet. Clark sees passes before they exist and delivers them on time and on target at a pace that defenses simply cannot match. Watch her in pick and roll situations and you will see it clearly. She uses the screen, pulls the defense toward her with the three-point threat, freezes the big in the lane, and then whips a pass to the roller or a skip pass to the corner shooter in the same motion, the ball arriving exactly where it needs to be at exactly the right moment. There is no winning coverage against Clark running pick and roll because she reads whatever the defense gives and punishes it every time without hesitation and without ego. Her assist to turnover ratio improved in her second season because she is seeing the game even earlier now, getting the ball out faster, putting her teammates in better positions more consistently. The transition game is something else that gets overlooked. Clark pushes pace the moment she gets possession. She is in a full sprint before most guards have turned to run, and she is already making decisions about the numbers advantage before she crosses half court. She will hit a guard filling the lane and stride from 40 feet if the angle is there. She will stop and pull up from transition range if the defender gets back in time, but leaves her 2 feet of space. She will find the trailer cutting late on the opposite wing for a kick-out three that the defense never saw coming. Every transition possession with Clark handling the ball is a sequence of rapid decisions, and she makes the right call so often it starts to look like she already knows what is going to happen. It is not that. She is just fast. Fast eyes, fast processing, but fast release. Everything that happens in a basketball game in real time, she sees it at a frame rate nobody else is working at, and the plays she makes because of that vision are the ones that end up in compilations exactly like this one. The moments from her second professional season have already become legendary. She came back sharper, stronger, with a full year of professional film study behind her, and the leap in her game is visible to anyone paying close attention. The three-point percentage is up, the free throw rate is up, the assist to turnover ratio is cleaner. She is making fewer mistakes because she is seeing everything earlier now, reading coverages before they develop, making decisions with even more confidence than she had in a rookie year, where she already looked like a veteran. In back-to-back road games against two of the East's top teams. She went for 24 points and 11 assists in the first game, hitting 6 3-pointers, including a pull-up from logo range in the fourth quarter with two defenders closing out that tied the game with 90 seconds left. A shot so absurd that the opposing bench reacted before the ball went in because they already knew. She followed it with 27 points on 7 of 13 shooting in the next game, including 4 consecutive possessions in the third quarter where she personally refused to let the Fever fall behind. Step back 3, and one drive where she absorbed contact and finished through it, dump off to a cutter in the lane. Corner 3 off a quick reset for the lead. 4 possessions, 12 points. Game effectively over. That is clutch production at a level that takes most players years to develop, and she is delivering it in year 2, like it has always been there waiting. The crowds tell their own story. Indiana Fever games sell out now. Every single one. Road arenas fill when the Fever come to town because people want to see Clark in person, want to be in the building for the moment she does something that should not be possible in a basketball game. The ratings numbers for her games are all-time records for the WNBA, numbers that put her games in conversation with marquee events in sports broadly. Networks that had never prioritized women's basketball started competing for broadcast rights to her games and paying more for them than the league had ever seen because the audience she brings is real and large and genuinely passionate. She changed the economic reality of the league in 2 seasons. That is not an overstatement. That is what the revenue numbers say and what the attendance figures confirm and what every new sponsorship deal signed in the last year reflects. She has also changed what young players believe is possible. The number of kids who cite Clark as the reason they are playing basketball right now, the number of young guards working on step-back threes and driveways because they saw her do it and decided it was achievable, the number of young girls who now look at women's professional basketball and see the actual dream and not a consolation prize. That is not a small cultural shift. That is a generational one. Every time she makes a shot that looks impossible, somewhere a kid watching on a phone or a television decides that basketball is their thing and starts putting in the work. That is the legacy being built in real time alongside the records. The best of Caitlin Clark is genuinely still ahead. 2 professional seasons in, already the most productive rookie in league,